next month.
Congratulations.
All right, very good. You're gonna be able to get on. Oh, yeah.
I became mail a ton.
Yeah, well, that's yeah, except the owner. Yeah, that's great. So. Did you start doing traveling and doing helping with the?
Yeah, just, doing flying stuff.
Yes.
Kind of same stuff they're doing more or less, There's just a lot of work out there, but just not a lot of people to do it downstairs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, feel a lot of people consulting with groups at the convention centers. There's definitely a need out there for people to take that pressure away from the company or groups that want it to go great.
I remember.
Yeah, helping a center get something there.
Okay.
Took me to the very second.
Yeah, sure.
So to help you get their online infrastructure ready to go. And a lot of needed that right.
Yeah, no,
Good for you.
Hopefully, you guys are. Kind of asking about it for years, and I said, just send me a formal letter.
Yeah.
And they send me like this super formal letter, and it's like, here's a blank, blank, blank. I'm like, well, I mean, that's a. That's not that.
Further anxious to start. I would give you that thing of the way it's the other stuff. The session plan in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked out to my office and it felt all busy and I was like, oh, that smells like snow. I'm back and got my laptop. It's like, I'm not driving. Yeah. Yeah. We understand. All right. What do you have to do? Yeah.
We have a sign-in sheet next to the door there. Coming in. You can come in. If he wants to.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
When we're answering questions, do we just answer from here or do we go get up to what's the protocol?
We've got speakers, microphones that are in the green up above that should be able to pick up your voices hopefully. So
It's done a pretty good job catching on.
Okay, so we can just stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
you're comfortable doing that. Not supposed to be an inquisition or anything.
Okay.
And it's. Sorry, is there a follow-up question to that? Okay. There is a one.
Should I go check the door? All right, we're gonna go let people in for a minute.
Man doors. Welcome, everybody. We're just about ready to get started. I had to go quick, 6 o'clock. I'll just ask everybody online, can you hear us? Just give a thumbs up or a clap or whatever. Thanks, Siobhan. All right. Thanks, Derek. Derek, I think you're with Make Music Day. Am I correct in that? I can't remember.
I'm on the Salem Main Street Association.
Okay. And your organization doesn't have an application tonight, though.
Yeah, no, I was just listening and just to hear what's going on.
All right, good. Great. Well, welcome. Thanks for being here. All right, 6 o'clock on Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. I believe we've made it that far already in 2024. This is for the City of Salem's Cultural Tourism Promotion Advisory Board meeting for January 9th, 2024. We're here at the library in Anderson Room B. And tonight we'll be going over half of the event applications for TOT grant funding. And as we get started on this, I'll go ahead and call the roll for the board members. We had one board member resign, Jeffrey Tiffany has resigned. So we are now at 7 board members. And so to have a quorum, we just need to have 4 or more. And we have that present. So we can call the roll. Scott Snyder.
Here.
Ryan Gale.
Here.
Galen McAllister is out on vacation in Mexico, so she's not here. Omar Alvarado is not here yet. Carly Wright.
Here.
Roger Williams. Here. And Aaron Zeist.
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 Here.
I'm gonna trip up on that.
It's okay, it's a weird name.
Great. Well, welcome to everyone in the audience and online. Thanks for coming. I'll turn the time over to
Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. This is always an exciting time of the year for us as board members to hear all the great things that are going on in our community and what, as a hotelier, what our taxes that we're collecting from our visitors is helping to support to make Salem a better place. I do want to also, I was absent in our December meeting, and I want to thank Brian for chairing the meeting in December. Since I wasn't here, I read the minutes, but I'd like to get a motion for approval of the minutes as submitted, please.
I motion.
All right, any corrections or amendments? All right.
second.
I second.
Okay, thank you. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Omar, great to see you in person, bud.
That wasn't a while ago.
And so just again, we're in the throes of our calendar year for the advisory board. We've been having a chance to read all the applications for facilities, for events, for capital improvements, and trying to evaluate those. And so as Chris mentioned, we'll be going through approximately half of the event grants tonight, and then do this remainder next month. And then we have a chance to discuss and go back and ask more questions. But I would like to go ahead and open up for public comment, and this would be for any guests that wish to address the board on any matter other than what's appearing on the agenda tonight. If there's any either online or in person that are interested in making any comments. All right, very good. So we're going to go to our action items. We've got a declaration by the board members for any conflicts of interest. I don't know. I am a Hamlet Society member for the Elsinore. Does that preclude me from, we joined it as the hotel, but so it's just a membership sponsor. It's a membership level for giving to the theater. Does that, it's not a board position.
I think you might be fine on that.
Okay, all right.
Double check.
We're not evaluating them tonight, so if it is, let me know. But I this was my first year being in that level. So. Great.
Carly, anything to add for the rest of your life?
Yes, I do. Salem Art Association and Kaylee of the Valley.
Okay.
I have one that might be a conflict of interest. Family Folding Walks gets relief bursary funding, and I work for the Department of Early Learning and Care, which is the funding organization for relief bursaries. So it's a step removed.
Yeah, far enough away.
Yeah, I think so too. But I just wanted to make sure.
All right. That's hearing none others.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you very much. And so we've gotten notification from our first two that they are not able to be here. So we'll move to the Capital Pride.
Actually, we need to start. Can we start with the Salem Art Association?
Oh.
We missed last time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Matthew.
They're at the top. So, okay. All right. Very good. Yeah. Matthew, sorry. Thank you for being here online.
Yeah, and thank you for Chris and everyone accommodating our request to move off last month's agenda. Scott, while Chris is pulling this up, I'll just say I tried to raise my hand during your call for public comment, but I was tardy and I got my fingers fumbled it. But I was just going to say that over the holidays, we flew out of Salem Airport, and it is an extraordinarily pleasant experience. You know, it takes you 7 minutes to drive there. There's ample parking. 7 minutes later, you're through security. So I know lots of you folks were involved in that. It was just a way of saying thank you. It's really wonderful.
That's great. I'm glad you got to enjoy it. You felt comfortable and on the plane. Yeah.
I felt like I never want to drive to PDX.
I have yet to do a flight myself out of Salem, but I'm anxious.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law lives in Iowa, and trying to figure out how we can get connections so that we don't have to drive to Portland to pick her up or drop her off. So, but again, thank you. So.
Do you want me to present, or do you have questions that you'd like to lead with?
So I think just going over what we've done in the past is the Salem Art Association is applying for 2 grants, a facility operated grant and then the Salem Art Affairs Festival for $10,000. Those are the 2 applications that you'd be reviewing.
Yeah, so I think if we can maybe address any questions regarding the operator grant first and then get into the art festival. Were there any questions regarding the facility grant? And I know, Matthew, that the Bush House is obviously still an important part of the organization, with the reimagining or thinking how the Bush family and their legacy and how that is going to be worked in to help obviously be an educational thing, is obviously a lot different than the Bush Barn and your objectives there. But how is that going? Are you doing public tours again?
Yeah, yes, we're open to the public. We after the pandemic made tours free. They had previously been $5, and we wanted to eliminate any barriers to access. So tours are free. It's a small space, so we ask that people come into the barn and get a free ticket just to reserve a spot, and they can do that the day of or 5 minutes ahead of the tour. We also have begun a small concert series. The Bush House has 2 extraordinarily beautiful music rooms. And so we are now inviting local musicians. Usually it's about 3. I think last year it was 4 a year, so every 3 or 4 months. And those also are largely free. Some of them we charge a small amount just to cover the fee that we pay to the musician. We also have a series of newly commissioned portraits of early Oregon Black pioneers. And the central thrust of the reimagining process is to decenter the story of Asa Bush. He was a champion of the state's exclusionary laws. So he's a very troubled history with respect to race relations. So trying to give a little less attention to Asa Bush as a way of opening opportunities for other stories to be told. And so these portraits of early Oregon Black pioneers painted by a Black artist based here in Oregon are just extraordinary. They're beautiful visually, but they tell a story of these, early Oregonians that has largely been overlooked. And that they're installed in a new gallery upstairs. One of them is on loan to Portland Art Museum and currently on exhibit up there. And we already have interest in having these portraits be a traveling show. So there are a couple of museums that are asking us to exhibit the series, in their own space in 2025 and 6 and beyond. So that's exciting to be able to sort of export our work and our story.
Great. Well,
And
I'm
Scott,
excited. Go ahead.
Sorry, just one last point is for board members who have been with the committee for a while, you'll remember that there were previously 2 applications, one for Bush House Museum and one for Salem Art Association. And last year, about 2 years ago, we merged the organizations back as a single nonprofit. And last year was the first year we had a single facilities grant. So in a way, we're doing twice as much with the same TOT funding, but it aligned with our view and our values of what was appropriate.
Good. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted some clarification on is excluding the art fair itself, what's attendance like for the actual Bush House Museum and the Art Center?
Yeah, it comes in a couple of different ways. Bush House Museum has these tours, and tours are anywhere from 2 or 3 people to 12 or 15. At the galleries, the concerts, I should say, at Bush House Museum are about 40 people. This is a room that is packed with chairs, a music room, packed with chairs and musicians, equipment and instruments. So those are about 40 people. That's capacity. We have an upstairs gallery newly renovated in Bush House Museum, and capacity there for opening receptions is about 40 people. So fairly small scale, just because of space constraints at Bush House. At the barn, at the galleries, we have an opening night reception just about every month, and those can be up to about 150 to 200 people. The biggest one every year is the Young Artist Showcase in March. All of the artists are children, and all of them bring, their parents, their grandparents, aunts and uncles. And so those are whole families attending, and will be, 300 people over the course of that reception.
Thanks.
Questions regarding the facility operator? Great. All right. Thank you, Matthew. And then on the art fair, big change on the calendar, yes? And
Yeah.
So you're going into September, is that accurate, or is that a recollection correct? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This will be our 75th art fair. So long tradition of doing it both in the park and on that third weekend of July. And we were shut for 2 years during the pandemic, and we've since had 2 art fairs in July. And the feedback we got, so just to take one step backwards, we moved the art fair from underneath the trees along the path in the park to the open pasture. And that was done in coordination with the city. They have a new management plan for the parks, and they felt that it was necessary to protect the old growth oak trees, that we move the bulk of our activities away. And I always say, what artist doesn't love trees? We all began, our first painting or drawing was usually of a tree or a flower when we were in kindergarten. So we're happy to do that, but it put lots of people into the pasture for long hours in July. And it is just, we've realized it's just too hot. Everything we try to do to mitigate the heat, which is, additional seating, additional tents. We have fans with misters, all of that, and lots of free water. All of that is important, but doesn't quite catch up with the real effects of July heat. And so all of our feedback around the weather the last 2 years was that it's just way too hot. And the sort of the scary point here is that each of the last 2 years, the high temperature was 86 degrees. And, that's actually not even that hot for July. I mean, it could get into the 90s or the hundreds. And so in August, we put out a survey as widely as we could. We got about 500 responses, which is a huge number for us. And about 70% said strongly encouraged a move to September. And I guess in the end, us Oregonians are just happier risking a little bit of rain in September than heat in July. So it'll be official this year, September 13, 14, 15. Please spread the word. I have this great fear that 25,000 people are going to show up in July, and I hope they don't. That was a long answer to your question, but yeah, we had a process.
Obviously, there was a lot of thought put into it, and I concur. It can get pretty busy in the summertime, and it's nice to have something to yourself, not to be sharing. So,
yeah.
I just have a comment. Can you hear me, Matthew?
Yeah.
Okay. Great application. I just love this. I just want to make this comment. I think this is, I think it's really written out very well. I love how one of your outcome number 2 I'm sorry, one of the TOT goals for enhancing the quality of life and embracing a culture of inclusiveness and diversity. I think that's very well written out. I think it shows a lot of intentionality in trying to create more qualitative measures to keep track of the different diversities that go to the art fair. I know in my time going, I always see a bunch of different types of people, and I love that diversity and that representation of the vast types of art there is, right? Because that's the whole point of art, right? So I love that. I love that how intentional you folks are with that. Every year, I feel like it gets better and better with your intention with that. I really definitely wanted to highlight that. And I definitely, personally, many of you know, I love music, so I would love to see this diversity represented in the music as well, too. I know it is too, but that's just something that I always look forward to as well. But other than that, good job, Matthew. That's great.
Thank you. And on that point, we adopted what is called the Fair Art Initiative, or it's Fair Art Pledge. We've turned it into an initiative, but it's comes from the art world, and it's for the art world nationally. And it is begins with the recognition that something like 85% of the art in permanent collections in the country is by white men. A huge number like that. It might be 84 or 6%, but it's in that. And this is after decades of activism to diversify collections and exhibitions. And so the Fair Art Pledge establishes very specific goals around inclusiveness. And that is both sort of the outcomes, like what artists are actually involved and are being exhibited, but it's also, kind of the process of how you're reaching out, who's making decisions, who's staffing, how are you marketing. So it's been transformative for us, and we're just in the early years of this Fair Art Initiative.
Good. Any other comments or questions for Matthew? Thank you very much, Matthew, for being here today. And we're excited. So.
Thank you.
All right, and so we've got 2 applications for Pride in the Park and Salem Capital Pride. Block party, sorry, yes. And so we have a representative here. Okay, and your name?
Zachary Curtis, I'm the president of Pride.
Very good, Zachary. Thank you very much for being here tonight. And so I know this is your second year or third year participating?
This will be our 3rd year participating. The first year we just did Pride in the Park.
Okay.
And last year we were approved for Pride in the Park as well as a March block party.
Okay.
However, that will be happening in June. So that one we haven't completed yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. It's weird how the calendar runs.
Yeah.
Very good. So any questions regarding either of the applications?
How long has Pride in the Park been happening?
So we have a pretty long, varied history. So the first Pride in Salem happened in 1978. There were 9 marchers who marched from the Capitol to Civic Center. They were in Peace Plaza. For a few years, it was very small. They expected, I don't want to go into too much history, but it's very small, just a few people. There was a queer organization in Salem at the time, and they had 300 members, and they expected about 100 of them to show up to the second Pride. There was only 12. A lot of people were afraid of losing their jobs and things like that. So we've had a long history. Eventually, it moved away from marches and demonstrations to kind of like a family picnic style gathering. It's been at Pringle Park. It's been at I'm forgetting the one that's over by Walmart on Turner. And then in 2004, I believe, it might have been 2008, is when it moved to Riverfront Park, and we've been there ever since. The only year that we haven't is 2020. We did a virtual Pride where we broadcast videos from the community and things, but we returned in 2021 with the travel Oregon to more COVID safe. So this will be our 46th year.
And with the funding that you've been getting through the top board, Zach, have you evolved with your marketing campaigns? Does that give you more bandwidth to be able to get
Yes.
out of town?
I believe so. Based on our reporting, we're getting more. In addition to just more people, my first year as president in 2019 is when I became president, but I wasn't president until after the event. But that year we got around 2,000 to 3,000 people, and this last year we estimate about 8,000 people. We know we had 700 or 7,146, I believe, is what we got on our counters. But we didn't have volunteers for the entire time to count everyone as they came in. The park is very open, so people could have come in a way that we weren't counting. So we're estimating around 8,000. So we've grown a lot, and in addition to my first year, we had about 40 booths with nonprofits and vendors and things. Our last year we had over 170. So we've grown tremendously in the last 4 years. And part of the grant funds, the first year we used them to pay all of the city fees for our vendors so that it eliminated the barrier to access. For them, last year we used it to improve our entertainment, which drew more visitors. And then this year, we're hoping to use it to alleviate some issues with ADA accommodation and people with disabilities. Is the main goal. We'll of course use it just to put on a program.
Right.
That's what we're hoping to use some funds for.
Yes. So
I did want to follow that actually, because I saw here on question 14 on the TOT goals. That's great. Supporting the ADA need, mobility aid, sensory relief areas. I sometimes don't think about that. I think that's really, really great that you think about that. And then just in the translation services, because I've had to do translation before. How does that look like? Are you going to like a provider or something like that? How would that be?
So in the past, we've only had ASL interpretation, but we've had it every year since I've been involved in even before that. And typically, we don't use a regular, like we don't go to Willamette integrated technology, or I forget, integrated technology, something like that. We don't go to a singular provider. We use people who are licensed, but we go through activist channels. So people who are very passionate not only about interpreting, but also about peer rights and the rights of marginalized communities. So it's more of a peer network of people who are certified, but also very passionate about advancing sport.
That's great. I remember seeing that actually when I went to one. It's great. It's great. Thank you.
And regarding your sponsorships, is that 11,000 pretty comfortable? Was that what you did, or a bump from last year?
That's approximately what we did last year. So we're hoping that it doesn't go down.
Right.
We want it to go up.
Right.
We wanted to be conservative in our numbers of what to expect.
Very good. Any questions? And then if we could talk about the parade as well. And this is a newer event, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this year, or this last year, we did something without funding at all. And that was in conjunction with the Salem Institute Association, or members of the Salem Institute Association. And that was just a march on the sidewalks. And we closed one block downtown for a block party from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And so it was a smaller event. We didn't really have any sort of marketing budget at all. It's all just word of mouth and like posting on Facebook, but no ads of any sort. And so we're hoping that this can help with both marketing as well as the very expensive cost of actually closing down the streets instead of just marketing.
Right. And probably safer. Yeah, as well for,
And at the event that we didn't have any marketing for, we had about 500 marchers, and then throughout the day, we estimated about 2,000 people attended. And then we do have the funding to do a similar event this year, and hopefully with that, I'm currently working with the city on the proper permits and stuff, and we have our committee meeting, but hopefully we have a greater turnout on that, and we have more data to show. I love analysis.
You expect to get the same donations and sponsorships for this year, since it's under connected with the Downtown Association?
I'm not entirely sure. Many of the planners who have helped with that are still interested in being involved, and I would hope that they still have the same contact who would still want to donate. And part of our plan is to distinguish, or not distinguish, but contact donors separately for each program, because we know it could be a lot to be like, hey, you just donated to this, you also want to donate to this. And really focusing on core downtown businesses and people in the area to, whether it be an in-kind support where they take on the cost of doing whatever event they put on inside their building, or whether it be just here's money, you go do something in the street. We're happy to work with
and how far apart are the two events?
And so our goal is that the parade would happen the first Saturday in June, and then the Pride in the Park is the third Saturday in September. We have also due to Secretary.
Yes, all right, yeah.
Do you have a contingency plan for funding if you did get a full 10,000 from TOT?
Kind of. It's really a reduction of services. We don't want to do that, but that's the most likely scenario. If we have to put on the event, we do have ways of doing it for under $5,000, but that completely removes all of our clear vendors from being able to sell anything, which is a big part of what we do. And it would be marching on the sidewalks and things that are less safe and less promoting of the community itself. So we certainly could, but it would be a very different.
Very much for being here. I appreciate it. So next. That's not the computer.
Yeah, we have the Martha's celebration and another Bingo Destaco.
Paseco, yeah. Yeah, so we are Casa de la Cultura Tunense. We've been here in the community for over 20 years now. When we first started, we're the first. I remember not being too many Puerto Rico groups. And now I'm glad that, Puerto Rico groups are growing around our communities and even into the schools, which is nice. So one of our biggest event that we do every year is Dia de Muertos. We host it at McKay High School. And we have different entertainment from all over. So we invite dance groups from. This year we had dance groups from Eugene, Springfield area, Troutdale, Hillsborough, Woodburn, Aurora, Salem, and so we had it from all different cities. And we had traditional foods, entertainment, activities for the whole families. And this was the first time where we had we open up for small vendors like People that had, businesses selling, for example, homemade things or artisans that would bring their crafts. So it was nice to see that, and we always have a good turnout with families coming in and enjoying. People get to bring pictures of their loved ones and honor them in our community altar, which is nice to hear. This picture is from this year's altar, and so it was nice to see it was full of pictures, and people even brought pictures of their pets to honor them as well in their altar.
You have a date for the contest yet?
For the contest, for the contest, last year we did it in August. We found it was a little bit of a struggle to find a place to do it. We were finally able to do it at the Holiday Inn. This year we're thinking to do it in May. Not this year, 25 in May. Doing it in around May. We're still looking at dates, but we're
Will you have one in 2024 then? So you're skipping 24 and then we'll be
Yeah.
25?
Yeah.
Any idea where you?
We like McKay High School just because it's very central and because we have a lot of people that come from different areas. It's easy access to the freeway, has a big parking lot, the common area, it's very wide. So that's why that was our ideal place to host our contest as well. And just because people are familiar with that place. So hopefully that's why we weren't changing, because in the summer, the schools were closed. And so that's why we weren't able to do it at any of the schools. And that's why we decided to maybe switch it during May. That way we could see if we could have that space available. For the contest, we were able to bring 2 trios from Mexico. And then we had some dancers that participated that traveled from Mexico as well. So it was nice because then they were able to they were able to stay at some of the hotels, and it was a perfect timing because then our contest was on a Saturday. The next day we had our dance group had a dance. We perform at the state fair every year. So then we were able to find them a place for them to perform at the fair as well. And then they were able to dance as well there. So it was nice. Yeah. So, and for the first, it was all the trios and the dancers. It was the first time visiting Oregon and visiting St.
On the budget, how are you coming up with $30,000 worth of volunteer support?
So we are, we have a lot of businesses that help us also with a lot of things being donated. We have a lot of volunteers donating their time as well. So we are, just working with some of the people that we invite to entertain. Sometimes they donate their time and to support us. So that's how we're.
Do you have a dollar per hour that you're calculating that 30,000? That's a lot of money for a 2-day event. So how many are we talking? 1,000 people, 100 people, 200 people?
For coming to
the volunteers, volunteer support.
Well, for us, we're planning this for months, so we are doing this. We count it as a month.
Okay, it's labeled as volunteer support day of, so that's why I was confused.
Okay.
All right.
No, we were thinking for like throughout the whole planning of the time, not the day.
I just wanted to make a comment that I think I've been to this before. It's an amazing event. It's really, really big. If you haven't, it's amazing. A lot of people from out of town. I think that collaborative effort really pays off sometimes in like events when you bring out of town people. Just so much people come by, economic impact, people's heads in beds, like they say, right? I think that's really great. So I could see how you kind of get those numbers that you anticipate out of town because you have a good history about that. I think that's really well written out. And I wanted to ask about the data collecting. I got some of the data. Are you doing surveys?
Yeah. So when they come in, we have a survey. We have it in English and Spanish. and we collect some of the information, like where they're visiting us from, how many people are coming with them, how did they hear from the event. So we have a little survey that we, when they first come in, we have a table before they get to go. And the cool thing about it is there's only one main entrance, so they have to come through that door. So that allows us to keep control of our numbers.
That's great. That's great. Great job.
And this is the second year for
For
the.
the content, yeah,
Cultura.
it'll be the second. For the other muertos, we've been doing that for over 2 years.
Okay. And what lessons did you learn in the first year of the event that you've done to improve or enhance?
So for the contest, it's a lot of planning, especially, doing a competition. There's a lot of things to get into consideration, especially this type of contest that we're doing. It's very in particular. So it was doing our first time. We were collaborating with another nonprofit organization located in Mexico City, that it's also helping us out with the organization and see how those contests work out over there, because it's a very cultural part in certain states of Mexico. And so they were kind of like guiding us on how that contest works. And so that's why we're not doing one this year. We're waiting till the 25th, because
Right.
we want to be able to save up also, but at the same time, we want to be able to make it better, because now this year, our goal this year is to, we're already collaborating with other Puerto Rico groups from other states, and we want them to come and compete. And so that will give them the opportunity to also save up so they can come and compete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Questions? All right, thank you very much.
Actually, I do have a
So
question.
go ahead, Roger.
And looking at your proposed expenses, I noticed that for security, you don't have anything down.
Yeah, for security, I guess, we just use some of our volunteers that have been security. I mean, we haven't had any issues, but I think we will take that into consideration. We had school security just because it's been at the school, so it's been like the school security that we get to pay for. And it's included in the contract for the school.
For renting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good catch there. Thank you. And Celia the Valley.
Celia the Valley.
Sorry,
It's okay.
Celia, yeah.
It's that feeling. I'm Beth Debu, and I am here with Feeling the Valley Society, and I'm glad to answer any of your questions. You have supported us through the years, so you're familiar with our group, and we appreciate the support we've been given in the past. Any questions?
Has the attendance after COVID returned? Are you finding people are eager to participate again?
Last year, we had 1 year where we were completely virtual, and then the following year, we were what we call hybrid. Some was virtual, some was in person with concerts and speakers and things like that. In 2022, we were back full force at Willamette
Late up in the year.
and I think because people were hungry to get out to events, we had about 500 in attendance that year. This last year, we had about 400, and we were trying to account for the difference. And part of it, interestingly enough, because I heard from some people, Willamette Heritage also has an influx of people that were there. Their parking lot was full. And so some people came and thought it was too busy, and so then they left. And so we've been in touch with Willamette Heritage Center to talk about putting out a sandwich sign, to say overflow parking at such and such, and where people who are part of the volunteer staff, because we require a lot of volunteers, park elsewhere to allow others to have
Right.
more parking, so, and potentially more carpooling. So it was interesting to see that difference. I volunteer in what we call the craft children's area. And last year we had 50 pumpkins for kids to decorate. We ordered 50 this year and 40 were used, and last year all of them were used. So I could tell it was less, but
Right.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
not up there counting heads. So to speak.
That's great. The convention center, I manage the hotel right next door, and we definitely saw hunger of people wanting to be meeting in person again. Last year was record attendance, and so that's awesome that it's translating to you know, community and beyond events as well. So
Question about where your in-kind marketing from.
I didn't hear
Where
that.
your in-kind marketing was coming from.
Well, we do a wide variety of in-kind marketing. Locally, we work with like publications. Salem Reporter has done a story on us. We were blessed to have Capital Community Media come and do a video of the event that day, though it's not marketed for that day. It's on Capital Community Media, and they gave us permission to use it for on our website, and so that reaches a much broader audience. I always have made an effort to work with Travel Salem for our monthly Kayleys, as well as events that we have, this being one of them. The other one that we use Travel Salem for is our St. Patrick's Day walkabout in downtown Salem, but that doesn't contain this. We do in kind with KMUZ, the Main Street. We publish it on the Salem downtown site. We work with organizations, I shouldn't say work, we collaborate with cultural organizations throughout the state of Oregon. So CCE Oregon is an Irish group in Portland. All Ireland Cultural Society is a group in Portland. Celt Folk is a group that runs Facebook, and it promotes cultural things that have to do with Celtic culture. They're always promoting things with Kalia Valley and our Celtic Music Hour. There's a group, a dance group down in Eugene that posts on Facebook. So there's a lot of marketing with organizations that have their own websites, newsletters, etc., that promulgate information out that is an enormous help. Also in kind, again, for the day, but it keeps promoting, is a photographer that comes, volunteers and does things like that. I mean, the list goes on and on. Is that adequate? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
and you use the same facility, so there's a recognition of where you're at.
In history.
Yeah,
Mhm, mhm. We've been there for I believe 5 years now.
Okay.
Again, pandemic influence.
Right,
but,
yes,
you know,
That makes perfect sense.
But it's a well-recognized place, got, it's a cultural center in and of itself. It's got, I know someone asked about accommodations for people who have disabilities. It's got the elevator to access to the spinning room, so, yeah, it works well.
And it's nice, I mean, it may not be super hot the time of the year you're here, but I went to an event and it's nice having the air conditioner out there now, so.
Well, part of our event is actually outside too.
Yeah.
There's children's Highland games that are outside. A hurling club is outside. The bagpipers initiate the day going through the spinning room, but otherwise they are outside just because of the noise. Well, Beautiful music. Yes, the volume, I'll say. We've also, I had a contact with a group of artists that go and do artistry, plein air kind of artistry, and they thought it might be kind of fun to come to our festival this year and do some just sitting and doing artist rendering of activities that were going on. So it just is a fun event that touches a lot of people in different ways. Some people love bagpipes and that's what they want to do, and some come for listening to programming that is there. When you walk in the door, everything is free unless you want to pay for a meal or to purchase something. Other than that, all of the experiences are at no cost, and our admissions are kept at a minimum, and actually the food prices for the delicious cultural soups have remained the same. And though we increase the amount that we get every year, it sells out every year. So people like those soups.
That's awesome. I got to, my family, we went to Dublin and Scotland this August, and they were having the international bagpiping competition at one of the big parks there, and it was pretty incredible. Yeah, but it's cool. All right, any other questions or?
Yeah, so in terms of your marketing and outreach, is there any attempts to like reach out to like maybe populations who haven't traditionally gone to the event, like maybe families with children or things like, you know?
Families with children as opposed to, I mean,
yeah,
this is open to everybody. We have posters that hang downtown. It's not unique to our culture. And interestingly enough, for example, coming to our dance, due to things like this and other events where you come and you meet people, we have a lot of Hispanic people that come to our events. You know, and again, people come with their kids to this. So
yeah, that's what I want to ask about too, is like, are there any efforts to like reach out to diverse populations beyond the people that might traditionally be interested in the content of the event?
Yeah, no, they come, interestingly enough.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. The part of the marketing are with, we call them quarter sheets, but they're pamphlets that we hand out because we do a lot of dance demonstrations at various festivals, you know, the World Beat, Salem Art Fair. We have done Inglewood Forest Festival. We go to dance at diversity events at schools. We are asked all the time to do things like that. So we have these little advertisements, you might say. And for the Sound Festival, they're in English and Spanish.
Okay, so that's good.
Any questions? All right. Thank you very much for being here tonight. All right, and
This Creative Teas.
okay, all right, thank you.
That's me. Hi, I'm Roanna, and it's creativity and no fake designs. That's all good. Nobody gets it right. So, this is my first time. I mean, you guys have seen probably in the application, my first time applying for a grant from Todd or even hearing about it. So I'm a little late to the game. But yeah, I have a space downtown where you can come and create your own t-shirt. Anybody can walk in and make a shirt. So it's like a creative kind of community event. And we have so many different fun things to do downtown. And so I don't know if this fits in, like, it's not a day event, it's like a year-long event.
Right.
But to try and get more people downtown and doing things, recognizing that there is stuff to do downtown that they can just walk in and see. So
And
I have a question.
So how did you, I know I saw the hatchet throwing, how did you?
Identify the places?
Yeah, yeah.
I pick the places.
Yeah.
So partly I wanted it walkable in the downtown area, because we do have other places that are, where there are things to do that are just not in the downtown area.
Right.
And I also wanted it to be not specifically kid oriented, I guess, if that makes sense. So, or adults only. So like Coin Jam, for example, is 21 and over, and I was like, oh, that'd be great if it was not, but it is.
Yeah.
So I want kids to be able to participate, but it not just be like for kids or what's traditionally for kids. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I want to clarify, what's your expected attendance breakdown for this event?
Oh, I don't know, did I put something down?
Yeah, I didn't see anything listed. I think there was,
250.
yeah, there's a number for estimated passport completion, but I wasn't sure like what you were actually expecting in terms of attendance. Were you expecting like all 500 to go, you know?
So I really don't have any idea.
Okay.
But I would hope that we could maybe get the 500. I mean, since this would be the first time trying it out. I wouldn't assume too that, you know, if it's a family group that they would each have a passport or may have purchased a passport, kind of depending. It might just be used as a guide to like try some different things and fill out one passport to get the one little token item at the end. So I don't know, it may be more than that. I mean.
Okay, so you're expecting at least like 500 or so.
At least 500.
Okay.
Yeah.
And besides social media, what are you anticipating using to help get the word out?
So we do post, I mean, put things on Travel Salem, on Main Street, on all the, on Press Play, like all the different places that are options. Again, and then social media. I would assume every business would have information on their websites or their social media feeds. It was kind of still an area to explore, like if there's an ability to do some more advertising with some of our local people, then we would look for those as well.
But it's definitely something that's you know, I think is pretty unique. I mean, you've had the passports for, you know, ales or, you know, different things like that, you know, but this is a little more family friendly than, like you said, it's not just all adult, not all child oriented. So you can, you know, definitely have some family types of benefits for the participants. So.
Yeah, I was looking at the Salem Ale Trail passport because I really liked how they had everything. Like it actually looked like a passport.
Right.
We have
Yeah.
passports for the Salem Art Walk, and that looks a little different. But I'm like, this is more of like, you know, comparable to that, or like McMillan's passport or something.
Right.
Similar to that.
How many businesses have already agreed to participate?
I haven't chatted with businesses yet. I wouldn't imagine that they would not. I mean, there could be a few, but.
And this is it's not necessarily trying to attract people from outside, but just community pride type thing, or community awareness.
Community pride, community awareness, but also, I mean, I see things like literally in Independence or in McMinnville or like McMinnville downtown or, you know, Independence. There's something that I saw recently, you know, something related to Valentine's Day and Independence. And I was like, oh, that would be great. Oh, there's the Independence Hotel. It's like, you could just go and stay at the Independence Hotel and do a little downtown thing and make an evening of it. Like it's, I think, bringing people from closer towns in. I feel like in Salem, in downtown, most recently, I've been surprised at how many out of town people have been appreciating our downtown as opposed to those local to Salem, which is kind of an interesting like flop from pre-COVID times. So I feel like people are coming down, but they might not necessarily know what there is available for them to do. So I guess it's twofold.
Yeah.
I guess if that answers your question.
I work at the south end of downtown, and I am impressed. Or every time I walk over to Travel Salem or to Sedcor for meetings, it's like, that's new, that's new. I mean, every time it's like there's new stuff coming in all the time.
Yeah.
So, but very good. Any other questions? Thank you very much for being here and filling out the application.
Yes, thank you. And I have
Thank you.
fun.
But thank you.
That was another small.
Yeah, it's another grant, $2,000.
Yeah.
See, Amador here for in-waste cross-cultural. This one,
Okay,
family building blocks.
okay, very good.
About Inglewood?
Inglewood, Lynn Takata wasn't able to make it, so
Okay.
they asked to be moved.
And Lace isn't here, that you were saying, correct?
What's that?
Oh, and Lace isn't here, correct?
Inlace, yeah, it's the Inlace, it's anybody representing.
Okay.
All right, family building blocks, and welcome.
I did have one question that I'm sorry about about Enlice. This application feels like it was maybe written in a different language and then run through a mechanical translator. Do we not have the ability to have them translated, or was that not requested?
It wasn't requested.
Is there a way we can reach out to them and ask for the original language and get it translated by a human so that it is a little clearer?
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah.
I think that's something we should do.
Yes.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it. I was gonna mention something similar if we would hear, just to get a little bit more, because it did seem like, you know, that it might have been like a language barrier.
Yeah, that's what I
That's what I was
read. Like,
wondering.
it read like mechanical translation.
And we could always tell.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I just want to give him the best chance possible. So it would be great. And we might also ask him if they need translation when he comes to ask questions.
So are you fluent in Spanish?
I am not. I'm. That's my point. Is that if we're serious about wanting to improve diversity, one of the things that we can do is offer translation services. And if his English isn't great, but he has a great event, I would like to have a translator present because my Spanish is very, very bad.
Bueno.
Will do my best, but it is very bad. Thank you.
We'll reach out to them again.
It's fortuitous that he wasn't here.
Yeah, so family building blocks, this will be our 15th year hosting Riverfront Family Fest. We're honored to have submitted a grant request. We haven't submitted one in the past, but our Riverfront Family Fest is a health and safety event focused on families with young children. And our whole goal is to enhance the quality of the lives of the families by learning more about what is available in our city for health and safety resources. So we have about 70 different vendors that are all focused on health and safety. So of course the fire department's there, police department, we have Life Source there. YMCA is focused on healthy eating. Prop Center is there on water safety. The hospital is there. United Way, lots of different vendors. They're all a part of the city of Salem. And we have about 4,000 parents and children come out. We have basically one entrance. Of course, we're at the park and at the Riverfront Park. So there are different ways to get into the park, but we really wanted families to kind of filter through one entrance. So we do have a little bit of a perimeter that we set up so that they can be welcomed. We give them a welcome bag. We also have printed programs, both translated in English and Spanish. And we also have maps available so they can find the vendors that they're really, really interested in looking for. And then a lot of our marketing is based on posters and flyers, our banners that we create, sponsored ads. When we first started this event, I would say there was about 40 vendors that were from Salem. Obviously, places like even the Salem Library was with us. Willamette Humane Society focused on animal safety, things like that. And we've grown to about 80 vendors, and we've grown up to about 4,000 guests that have attended. After COVID, we still saw that number had increased. Our sponsors, we're proud that we have business sponsors that help us cover the cost of the event, but we do use funding as a nonprofit for our personnel costs to host the event, and we really would love to partner with the Spot Grant program to help us cover the costs of putting on this event that draws in families from our community, but also we have heard, families do drive in from Woodburn and McMinnville and Sandman Canyon and stuff like that. So, yeah, we're also proud that we have a helicopter event at the Riverfront Park and in the middle of it all.
That's the event.
Yeah. We saw the quote at the end, but that quote is actually from Becky George, the city parks director. She has families that attend every year that she knows, and they said it's better than Christmas, and I think it has to do with the helicopter. Yeah. But Lifelight and Reach have landed in the past, but they do have emergency calls often. But it was important to us to have Lifelight and Reach so people can understand like emergency situations. But we've mostly are just sticking with Oregon National Guard because they're local and they land, and it's just a highlight of the event. So yeah.
Is this the first year you've applied for a top grant?
Yes.
What is the hope that you think that the top grants will provide to boost the event? Because the event's pretty well established at this point. So what are you hoping that top will be able to help your event?
I think better marketing for us. In the past, we were able to spend money on marketing, like Ross would be able to provide our flyers and everything, but we kind of have cut costs based on sponsorships. I wouldn't say our sponsors have gone down, but costs have gone up. So I definitely would think better marketing. I feel like we're stagnant at 4,000 guests. I would say we've had 4,000 probably the past 2 to 3 years, and then right before COVID as well. So I would like to reach out to more families in that way. I also have an interest, our volunteers that help us run the whole entire event day of, we always station our volunteers at the welcome booth as Spanish translators and obviously English as well. But we don't have any ASL services and we don't offer that at this point. That is an additional cost, and we want to obviously break that barrier if that is something that somebody needs that accommodation for. We've also shared with our vendors that we have seen an influx of Spanish speaking families and even families with toddlers, so very young families and stuff. So I would just say better marketing for sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna pick a little bit. Yeah. When you say better marketing, do you guys have like actual strategies that you've identified that this money can be used for that are bought strategies as opposed to in kind or media strategies?
I would definitely say ordering banners and placing them on the Liberty Parkade is one, and that is super expensive to even hang it for 5 days because it's the cost of getting it up there and down, and the banner itself. We do place banners on the riverfront park fence as well. It's a definitely more strategic sponsored ads on social media. I know social media really, it is a great way to get in front of a large audience, but that does cost money as well. We can post stuff on our page, and our vendors also, the businesses and nonprofits that host, they post on their pages as well, but it only reaches a certain audience based on the algorithms and stuff. So definitely investment in those ways for sure. Yeah, and more printed materials, to be honest. I mean, we used to be able to take like flyers and posters to laundry mats and just like, how do we get in front of audiences of people and families? So we would want to go back to that, but we have cut those costs. Yeah.
If your attendance has been 4,000 over this 4-hour period of time, what would you measure success? Would it be 4,400, 5,000? What would you think with this additional funds to spread the word more? What would you measure success as?
I would say definitely another 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely bumping it up to 5. Obviously after COVID, it's hard to measure, right? And I hate to say it, but it's August, so it is the heat, depending on the weather. Just
but you have a helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that is true.
like on it.
Oh,
giant fan.
you've been, yeah. It's windy for like, I don't know, you get 2 minutes.
Strap mistress to it, and just
no. Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. That is definitely a way we need to measure that metric for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Omar.
And I did want to mention something that was mentioned about the marketing. I went last year. My kid loved the helicopter. Just like that's how I know. But no, there was definitely a big diversity of people, all types of people.
Yeah.
Really big event. I guess in terms of the marketing, I guess I do want to see. I mean, you mentioned it, but I do want to see some of that marketing go to different types of communities. Right? Just not like I guess I'm kind of thinking like because there was like a big like Latino community for me from what I saw in the Bay Islander community there that day. I would like to see more marketing done like in Lancaster, like some of those northeast areas aren't so traditional because I think it's a safe bet like to market downtown, right? But if we really want to reach out, I think like going to Lancaster and those other areas is really gonna get some more eyes on that, which a lot of Lancaster is pretty traditional, I guess. People really pay attention to the signs down there, I've been noticing, and the posters. So I think that would be, I would like to see the top 100 go to something like that, you know, with different sources of marketing to different areas and to different folks. Because I think it is a really great event. If you're going to reach that 5K milestone, I think those different areas are going to definitely help that.
And we did focus on Lancaster for a while, especially with, I mean, I don't want to bring up yard signs, but yard signs have worked for us in the past, but they have gone missing oftentimes. So we're trying to figure out, you know, how to mitigate that. But I'd like to get back into like the laundry mats and Boys and Girls Club on Lancaster and, you know, those collaborative efforts to places over there. Because we are located on Lancaster as well. Our site is, so I totally understand that demographic.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Like I need the Little Mexican Markets, Panaderias, there's a bunch of them. People are always there.
Right now are in English. They really just say Riverfront Family Fest and Saturday, but the back, we should do like front English or Spanish and back English or something like that. So, but again, because our yard signs have gone missing in certain areas, we have not had the funds to replace those. And I think they are really great advertising avenue as well. So I'm glad they mentioned that. I do sometimes wonder how the city feels about the yard signs, but we always only place them on locations that we have permission.
Yeah.
Mostly our sponsors or businesses that, yeah. So.
Do you have a contingency plan if you don't get full funding from TOT?
We won't be able to increase marketing for sure. You know, that's really our biggest avenue is, I feel like, again, the event's been a little stagnant, not stagnant, of course, with like vendors. We have a wait list of vendors, the businesses that always want to participate. We always have a wait list because we are outgrowing our space. But mostly the number of families attending has kind of capped out at 4,000. So we want to be able to reach out more and better for sure. And we want to be able to use the grant funds to draw in and spotlight community resources and not use like the relief nursery funds as you're talking about for the outreach. And our Young Leaders Council is a group of volunteers that created this event for Family Building Blocks to give back to its community because the community has given us so much. So contingency would be we just wouldn't have the funds to grow like that additional marketing and banners and advertising and stuff. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, Brian, thank you very much.
Good evening. Happy to be here and answer any questions.
The Festival Chorale is doing 2 events, the Queen by Mozart and Magnificat from Bach.
It's everywhere.
So Brian, have you typically been at the Willamette campus, Smith Auditorium, or is Elsinore where you've always been?
Elsinore is our typical venue home. Okay. You may be thinking of Willamette Master Chorus, one of the other choirs here in town.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I was wondering, you don't have any in-kinds listed or personnel costs. I guess I had a couple questions. The first one that I have a note about is where are you accounting for, any free tickets that are given to the community or at cost discounted tickets sales? How does that fit in with the overall ticket?
Sure. So the way that we handle tickets is we do participate in the Salem for All program, which offers discounted tickets to holders with the Oregon Trail card. Those are available just at the box office on the day of events through the Elsinore. So you don't see any breakout of those in the budget, certainly. But if we do have folks who come, they're able to get those, and that'll just fold into the actuals of the event.
Do you have any way of tracking how many of those are how many people are taking advantage of those?
The Elsinore box office provides us reports afterwards.
Okay. I would just be interested to know what the breakdown is on those. Yes, that question.
I can respond. I know you mentioned curious about in-kind. I'll be honest, I don't list out what little in-kind we typically have since it doesn't have a budget impact.
Okay.
Because I'm not looking to balance it against expenses necessarily, but the little bit of in-kind we do trade ads with other local arts groups, and so to support each other by offering trading ads in programs and through email lists. And then, of course, we have a number of volunteers within the group that support each of our events. But again, we don't try to track that as an in-kind line item for the budget.
Brian, are the featured programs new to your organization? Are these things that you've done previously that are on a cycle?
Sure, great question. For us, I think we're always trying to balance bringing new works to either the group or the community versus balancing more favorite works that we know draw audiences. And as many groups I know are dealing with recovery from the pandemic, we're certainly working to rebuild audience and bring participation back into our group and our events. So next year is intended to be one of those seasons where we're drawing on well-known popular works. Both works are pieces we've done in the past, though it's been several years since either of those have been in our season. So we're certainly excited to revisit them and hope that, again, these popular, well-known, recognized works help draw back more folks as we rebuild.
Thanks.
You might want to double check the grant that you submit, just because Salem Weekly hasn't existed for a couple years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there just needs to be some updates. I think there's some boilerplate language in there that needs to be updated.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I see what you're talking about. So.
Anybody else?
I had a question, Brian. I'm just trying to find a way to word it. It's for the measurable outcomes, right? For the TOT goals. Question you put number 2: enhancing quality of life and embracing a culture of inclusiveness. I guess just a little bit more clarity. But I see you're trying to reach to a different demographic, which of different incomes, right? Which I think is one that I sometimes don't think about. So I think it's good that you're really tackling that. But to me, the question comes in how us on the board are grading it or are scoring it. And the questions are evidence that it's accessible, right? It is accessible, so that's the one point. How's the marketing effort being done to be more inclusive? I kind of want to know a little bit more about that, on what marketing efforts are being said. I guess it's on behalf of Salem for All to make it more inclusive. If they hear about it, if they market it beforehand, because I know you said they could get it when you get there, but how is it like beforehand so that people could find out about that, right?
Sure.
And then And then maybe a little bit more on how the content promotes also diversity as well. For those points, please.
Sure. So certainly on the marketing standpoint, in the different email campaigns we send out, we do flag participation in Salem for All. Salem for All as a group also operates a website where they have links to the different groups and events that participate in that. And so certainly we're listed on there as well. So I do think folks who are used to accessing events through that program look to that website as a resource to identify groups and events that they can access. But certainly we note that in our outreach materials as well. We do also, I know specifically you're asking, since we reference, kind of a varied economic audience. And so part of that too is offering discounts for students and seniors against our regular ticket prices. We do also look to advertise through schools. Many of our members themselves work in schools and so help put posters up. And our director knows a number and frankly taught many Salem-based music educators. And so we're always getting the word out through school music programs as well. Inviting students and their families to participate or come to the programs. And then certainly we also do different outreach to senior facilities as well, especially last year. You all supported our Alzheimer's Stories concert and did some special outreach through the senior network, senior services network based here in Salem to get more word out in particular to those populations that again typically fall in different economic stratuses from our typical attendee. And then as far as our programming and how to make programming more accessible, I'll be honest, I think that's something that arts groups like ours struggle with when we recognize that particularly our mission is oriented around classical masterworks. By very definition, in essence, no more of those are being written, and there's no denying that classical music has a basis in European history and provenance. We do look to, again, balance that with introducing new works that really kind of fall outside of the typical program that we might do. But just as much as you wouldn't expect the Irish dance troupe to necessarily be hosting, dance from a different area, I think that's a balance that we have to find within a group like ours as well. So certainly, again, trying to go back to like this for coming season to find works that are well known and popular broadly. The hope is that help invites other folks to discover this particular heritage of music. But I think it is a challenge to look beyond to other types of music that don't otherwise align with who we are as an organization.
There are old dead composers who were Black, though. I mean, they do exist.
I'm not saying they don't. There's really one in particular who worked in choral music. And we have looked at potentially presenting some of his work as well. Certainly, I would offer that for more what are called octavo, shorter songs that schools and other smaller choirs present. There's a greater diversity of composers in those types of pieces. And for instance, I have a background in the works of Moses Hogan, a very well-known Black composer who worked a lot in spirituals and gospel music and really enjoy that. His pieces don't really align, again, with who we are as an organization. They're 5-minute songs for choirs versus, hour and a half masterworks that we do with orchestra. So again, I think we're always looking at ways to do that, but I think there are fewer opportunities in our view.
I appreciate that transparency, Brian. I definitely understand how that can be. And it's great that you mentioned that. So that helps out. And no, that's all right. Because to me, I guess I just don't know what Salem for All kind of markets, I guess, or how it works. I never really heard of it up until like when I was on the TOT board. So I was just kind of curious, like, do we market in other languages? Like, do they market in certain incomes? But you kind of mentioned it, so that helps out. I'm just a little curious on how how they operate, I guess.
I have a question that is just clarification about what you use for advertising. And you have a sentence here just below number 12 is we also use paid advertising through Salem Cinema and the Elsinore Theater to promote our events. Are you saying that they charge you to promote your event?
Well, certainly Salem Cinema offers paid screen advertising at the theater. They do offer a discount to nonprofits, and we're happy to partner with them through that. In fact, just earlier today, I submitted our latest ad calling singers for our current term launching later this month. And then the Elsinore, beyond publicizing events that they're otherwise, hosting at the venue, they do offer paid advertising support through distributing press releases, being featured in email campaigns, poster in front of the theater, and the like.
Thank you.
So I'd offer those are in essence add-ons, for events that you're otherwise hosting at the theater.
Thank you.
And I'm sure Carly could add more detail around that.
Any questions about the Elsinore marketing?
Right. Any other questions for Brian?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here tonight, Brian.
Yes, thank you. Sorry I couldn't be there in person, but appreciate your time and consideration of our requests.
Thanks.
Hands. All right. Karen?
Okay, I'm on here twice. I see the reporting on the one we did and adding one we just it's called efficiency.
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
So,
That was the one where we just completed so happy the one that's coming up is quilting a novel idea. Which will be pretty exciting with Marie Bostwick, who is a New York Times and USA bestselling author and quilter. So that should be really interesting, drawing in more people from farther away. Yes, she has plenty to follow. What can I answer?
I just had your submitted budget sheet got a little messed up. So as far as like the numbers don't add up. And I don't think it's that your numbers are wrong. I think they may have just gotten in the wrong spots. Yeah. But here's a
expenses to revenues.
Back and look. Okay. Do I have that?
It's like a 1,400 or 14,000.
For all volunteer or in kind?
Yeah, it's like the in kind doesn't add up. It should, I think, add up to about 22,800. And then that anyway.
Yeah, because right now it has
the
just,
budget.
it has just like an $8,000 surplus of revenue right now. So
yeah.
Oh, here.
Mm-hmm.
You want that? The balance.
Balance. So yeah, so all these should be down here to make this the same.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Otherwise, it looks like, oh, the grant is just profit.
Yeah.
Funds that we're using for the top would go to offset the cost for the venue.
Yeah,
so that in kind, yeah.
Okay, but we missed there. All right.
Anyway, that was fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it's a great project.
Well, we appreciate all the funding that we've had in the past, and I can look and see where that happened. And that's something being corrected.
Okay.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Yeah.
because we do appreciate those funds and they are used to make a big difference in what we're doing with all of our programs. So if I slid the wrong way, I will, I apologize. I'll go back and check the last 3-4 years and see how our balancing was done.
How did you pick this year's theme?
The novel idea
Yeah.
with, one of the people that we've been partnering with lately is the, over at the Sisters. Boat show. And so this author happens to be a friend from their committee. And they convinced her that she would love to come out and do a presentation. And it works out that I think she'll be visiting in Sisters at the same time. So she agreed to be a speaker and do a little short workshop. And then at Quiltopia for us. So she'll be available in the same period of time. She's written quite a few books and then also puts in her quilting patterns and things along with the mystery themed stories.
Cool.
So yeah, I think that should be a big draw for this year. We may get even more out of town people than we did this year. And we got more out of town people this year than in Salem town this year. So,
Wow.
which was interesting that for the event we just did, that we pulled in people from farther away and less, I think 48% were from Salem, but the other 52% were from out of town and 30% of them are from far away. So we know we had people staying in town in one way or another.
You have the hotel mentioned here, and we do get quite a few people that are not guests, they're not going to Bentley's, but they're just looking at the quilts in the lobby and yeah, they just you know, so it's being publicized and being noticed that where they can see the work. That's phenomenal.
Right, Quiltopia has its own website, of course,
Yeah.
and so people are signing up now. When we had the Quilt Festival that we are attached to in January, that took place at the convention center, people began signing up then, and they get a monthly update and newsletter and response of things and activities and things they can go to. And we did double the number of quilts that we had in the quilt challenge this year. I think we only had a dozen pandemic time, and then this year it was we decided capacity is 24 because that's as many as we can place in the hotel. It came up just about exactly to that. We also doubled for this event the participation and the attendance. The year before was the weekend of the big National Weather Service don't travel windstorm thing, and so we only had about 300 people then, but this year we had close to 600. And so I think we're hoping with this author too, that our attendance may be even higher than that, because we're not changing the cost for tickets, and we're not changing cost to present or bring a quilt. So no problem.
I would just like to know that you're a 501c3,
Yeah.
and yet you only ask for $2,000.
Yeah.
Little thank you. It's a lot of the grants are max possible, and that you only ask for 2,000 when you can ask for more.
Right. I guess we do so much in kind that like all the fabrics are in kind from the community. So everything that we are able to sell at that boutique comes from generous quilters who go through their stash and donate things to us. So that's a huge amount. All of the work that's done on the website or any of the tasks or jobs for the entire year is volunteer. Helping Hands doesn't pay anyone, not even a director. You know, we are all overworked volunteers. So asking enough to at least help keep us at Willamette Heritage Center, we thought was fair.
Yeah.
To do, so.
That's awesome.
If I can straighten out that line.
Yeah, let's get that budget
Yeah,
line
you
item
just said
straightened
that,
out, you'll be
Kelly
fine.
or Chris, that'd be
Print that off and see where I best.
very good. All right. Any other question? Well, I guess I will ask just one more follow-up, just based on some of the questions that Omar and others have asked, but how are you reaching out to other more diverse ethnicities of quilters? I mean, is there a diversity in quilting?
I think it's by community, and I mentioned that we do have 12 quilt shops that sponsor and do all of the activities in the passport traveling. And so they specifically target their communities, because I know Woodburn has a great bigger Russian and Spanish community. In the shop ourselves, we have a huge population of not only Spanish speaking clients, but also Pacific Islanders. And so we advertise through our own shop too, to try to bring in people to submit quilts and things that are within their culture and background. Yeah, they're small, but we try to get the kids. We've got 4-H groups that now are receiving fabrics from us after it's been donated to us. If it doesn't sell, we donate to them to encourage them to bring things back in as first-time quilters. So I think that way outreaching. In the shop, it's 3 different languages right now. We because we're getting a lot of refugees from Afghanistan and Syria and places like that. So besides and Ukraine. So, and don't call them Russian. So we have actually Ukrainian translation, Russian, Spanish, and boy, if you can get a Pacific Islander up, I don't know. Those are just a language barrier and culture. But so we target through the shop as well as all of the shops that sponsor our activities.
That's great.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's good to hear.
Final question for me, and you're surveying at the entrance, right?
As they buy a ticket and they come in, they get stopped. Yeah, so there is a thing there of, you know, are you local? What is your zip code? We have one lady that writes down every single zip code. If it's a zip code that's not familiar, then we have them share with us a little about where they're from and if they're visiting and are they staying and those kind of things, so we can track all of that.
Great.
That's awesome.
Love to hear. Thank you.
All right. Is that all of our grants for this evening?
I don't, are there hoopla people there?
No, they weren't able.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mention
So they're in February.
We'll have a busier month next month.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, again, for people that are in the sweat box, thank you for coming
Yeah.
here tonight and appreciate it online as well. So thank you very much.
I've got you guys queued up for next month. They haven't reviewed applications yet for the next batch, so.
I just want to say thank you for taking the time with us too. I appreciate hearing the various questions and I appreciate hearing from the other applicants because I learned so much about our community here. I mean, some of it I'm aware of, but certainly not all. And it is just valuable, I think, to sit here and listen in.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's a good resource.
All right, so we had the, if you want to go through the report, Chris, for the fund.
All right, so looking back at the agenda, the next item on the agenda is the December report for the Cultural Tourism Fund. Scrolling down to that. So through the month of December, technically it's 6 months, but the way the collections are, it's actually 1 month in review, so it's actually 5 months technically of revenue that's come in. But you can already see that we're on par with where we were last year at this time. We're only up by 1.3% higher year over year for the same time period. So we've got 2.17 million in CT collections so far. Last year was 2.15. Interest earnings are amazing, and blowing through with the Fed raising interest rates. Amazing what happens to
Investing in NVIDIA or?
Gonna say we're investing and not borrowing, interest rates are awesome.
Yeah, it's just pure interest earning the cash. Let's see. Those savers are now winning. Expenditure wise, things are pretty much going as expected in all areas, all categories. I think the reason why there's the dollar difference, that might be higher costs associated with the banking fees. And also, I believe, is a timing issues when last year's were recorded. So that's what that big discrepancy is. But other than that, everything's going right through. Here's the revenue month by month review. So that's why I said there's only 5 months, even though December is technically 6. The July revenue is actually collected in August.
Everybody's caught up on paying.
As far as I know, I haven't heard any reports otherwise. I think that we'll probably do about 4.7 million in revenue for this year, just slightly above where we were last year. Budget wise, there was an adjustment made to add $700,000 more of budget authority in case revenues come higher than what was forecasted. Tomorrow night is going to be another forecast, revenue forecast presentation to the budget committee. For those that are interested, and yes, the Cultural Tourism Fund is on there. But yeah, we're pretty much right on target. I mean, we're year over year, we're essentially, you could say, flat. With any good year, you're going to see 6%, 7%, 9%.
But we received more applications.
But we received more applications this year, exactly. So that'll be the challenge. The funding amount available, based on, if you only have 4.7 million, you're still going to get about the same allocation wise, which is typically, I think, around 15% is what we allocate for grants. So I remember correctly, it should be somewhere around $700,000 in that ballpark. We'll see what's available for that. And then the rest of the reports are the ones that have been submitted. So we have our first quarter report from Salem Multicultural Institute for the Woodland Gallery over on Liberty Street. Light Theatrics provided the report on Games in the Giant Peach, which is a musical. Helping and resources, which was so good. So I already mentioned earlier. Barnett Arts Center, the Artisans Village. Earlier in the nice weather time frame of the year. And we just have some pictures of the Artisans Village.
Aaron, I apologize. Is this your first meeting?
No,
Okay.
it's my second meeting.
Okay, so I missed your first meeting. I'm
That is
sorry
okay.
for this. I appreciate the questions and just really appreciate all the involvement of the entire group that's here. I believe strongly that what we're trying to help invest the city's funds and making Salem the best that we can possibly be and be as diverse and inclusive as we can possibly be is very valuable, and the questions are very helpful. So thank you for being here and participating.
Yeah.
Next time is roundtable. So the organizations that are
Yeah, so folks that have stuck around,
What's happening?
yeah.
Just a chance to tell us what's
Yeah,
going on with your organizations
yeah,
and
so-
what you're looking forward to and what you might look for volunteers for.
We just opened our, open enrollment for our dance group. So we're not taking new dancers. Right now we have about 60 dancers. So our smallest are 4 years old, our oldest are 65, and all the ages in between. So we have 6 different dance groups. So yeah, we're just getting ready for the year. Where our group is also like our little board is meeting this week to also prepare for the whole year, our events. We're planning to do Spanish plays. So we're working on that to do Spanish plays and for Dia del Niño, because that's Children's Day. It's a celebration also we have, so we're working to see how we can take some of the plays to the schools for Children's Day. Yeah.
Well, our group promotes Irish and Celtic culture through music and dance, and Tuesday nights, tonight, is our usual dance class, so I'm missing my form of exercise. But they're held every Tuesday night, excluding inclement weather. We did take a break during the Christmas holiday. Any of you are very welcome to come. It's from 6:30 to 8 or 8:30. The first class is free. So you come in, you just get an idea of what it is. If you can count to 3 and 7, you can do it. It's just bring some water and wear some comfortable shoes. This always on the second Friday of the month, we have live music and dancing that we have because we're paying for live musicians. We require a fee to that. But to children under 12 are free. So it's very family friendly. We set up a coloring table for kids and more adults use that. But during the, coming back from the pandemic, attendance was more like in the 30s and now it's coming up to the 50s. And so we're starting to see increases again. So that is good. We'll have our walkabout at St. Patrick's Day. That's a big time of year for us. We've contacted the Y and City of Salem, and they're going to put green lights at the top of the Y and also at the Jerry Frank Center at Green for St. Patrick's Day, so people can highlight that. We're doing various things throughout the year just to promote fun, you might say.
What's the location for the dances?
VFW Hall, 630 Hood Street. Yeah,
I was just out there.
It has a floating dance floor, so it's not as hard on your knees. Yeah.
I only went once, but I went knowing nothing or no one, and I had a blast.
We're a very welcoming group.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Well, our one event is this, but the numbers in the last year that we've served have just skyrocketed. So we're our budget is extremely stretched right now. We used to see in the shop, 50 people a day, and we're only open 3 hours a day. And now our average is 100. A Saturday will be 114 people in 3 hours that are coming through. And we know, because it's document, everybody checks in, every client has to sign in, that at least a third of those people are houseless. And so the services we're providing, like the backpacks, the Gumex tents, have just like the demand is huge. But on the positive note, we're also seeing, we used to see 2 or 3 families come in a month that are being placed back into stable housing. And now this last month in December, we outfitted in place with new home items, the bedding, the kitchen, all toasters, coffee makers, all those kinds of things you would need for at least a family of 4. We're running almost 11 families a week. So instead of maybe 2 or 3 families a week, we're up to 11 or 12 in a week. So
we used to rely on donations for those things that, oh, there'll be enough that comes in from the shop to do this. And now that's all coming out of budget. We gotta go buy things to help folks out, which is wonderful, but it's really spreading funds really thin. So events like Quiltopia are kind of saving our lives with some of that.
Yeah.
So that's where we are.
Thank you. Any updates from any of the members of the board?
The next issue of Press Play will be out in February.
All right, awesome. Yeah. Valentine's edition or?
Valentine's, spring,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
We have two online, Yvonne with Deepwood. Have any updates?
Hi everyone. We had an amazing December at Deepwood. We had over 900 people pass through the museum home, and no, it's not that big of a home, so we really were humming in there. It really was great. We had so much interest, and it was through the holiday open house, our teas, and a couple hundred people coming for tours. And then I invited a MBA class from Willamette University to spend an evening in the home, just to give them a chance to be in a home around the holidays, to give them a break from finals, and to help them learn more about our cultural community. We are really excited about how it all came together and the amazing volunteers that helped make it possible. We are this week cleaning up from the aftermath of that. We spend 2 full days packing everything from the house up into the attic. And then we spend another couple days cleaning the entire house after all of the activity. And you can probably imagine with trees in every single room, the mess is pretty great. And then we will be setting up in time for our All Things Tea, fundraising tea this Saturday or Sunday, excuse me, and Monday we're having the tea. Sunday we're setting up for it, but we are focusing on various tea exhibits related to that, and that exhibit will be up through January, February. And in February, we will also add in a lot of colorful reds and pinks for Valentine's Day and bring out our antique Valentines. And we are working on plans for our late March native plant event, which is a TOT funded event. And we are incorporating more family focused activities this year. So lots of great things going on. Come see us.
Thank you, Yvonne.
And Genoa? It's nothing. It's all right. So on to any other business department items from the board.
I have a question. Will we be reviewing and editing the application again this year?
No.
Yeah?
It's
Okay,
perfect.
good.
You don't need to do that.
Every year is a new refinement.
It's called iterative changes, Chris. Iterative changes.
I've been here, it's changed a lot since I started. Yes, we'll always. Do
I'm just making notes as we go through them, and I went, oh, yeah, this could use some clarity.
Grant writers. Well, nothing else. I think
All right.
We're good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We are adjourned. Thanks for being here and participating.
Thank you.
Yeah,